Okay, right. Good evening, guys. Can you all let me know if you all can hear me and see a screen? Yes. Can see screen? Yes. No. Yeah. Right. Okay. Perfect. So today we'll start with the 2014 A-level paper. Right. I think we did 2011, 12, and 13 the first day. So today we'll start with the 2014 paper, and guys, we'll go a little bit faster now. Right. So if there are things that I would have explained in detail during the first three papers, if maybe a similar question is repeated, right, I'm not going to go into detail. I'll tell you, refer back to this question. Okay. Can you all let me know, guys, how many of you all actually did you all do at least from 2014 to, let's say, at least 2019, 2020? Did you all do the MCQs? Yes. Right. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know how much we can do today. Right. That depends on our speed. Others, yes. Okay. Majority of you all have done good. Others, guys, did you all give it a try? Yes. No. Okay. Right. So give me a second until I load the paper. So good to see most of you all have actually done. Right. That's really good, guys. So keep the same thing, same momentum going. And trust me, guys, if you can follow this, right, every single week, if you can do the papers and come, trust me, in, I don't know, maybe 5-6 months, once we finish this program, you all will definitely be at a level to get that A for sure. Right. So on your end, do the bare minimum that I ask you to do. Right. So then, with that said, shall we start? Right. Where are we? Okay. So we'll start with the 2014 A-level paper from question number 1 onward. Now, some questions are very easy, guys. So we'll go a little fast, right? Now, for example, questions like this first one. Okay. Right. We'll start. So 2014 A-levels, question number 1, which starts off with saying, economics is the study of. Guess what do you all think is the answer? Economics is the study of scarcity of resources and full employment, scarcity of resources and production, scarcity of resources and choice, scarcity of resources and efficiency, scarcity of resources and substitutability. What do you all think, guys? Economics is about what? Scarcity, yes. Now all the answers have scarcity. So don't tell me scarcity, right? Because of scarcity, guys, tell me, what should we do? Because of scarcity, right? Connect it a little bit with unit number 1. Because we face scarcity, we need to make a what? We need to make a choice, right? That is what economics is about, guys. That's the basic definition for economics. So let me highlight the answer, right? So the correct answer is answer number 3, right? So guys, simple questions like this, I'm not going into very detail and explaining the definition, right? So we'll go fast because we have a lot of questions to finish. Okay, right. So then let's move to the next question. Second one, 2014 A-levels, question number 2. The opportunity cost in economics is defined as what? The other opportunities sacrificed for obtaining something, the financial cost of obtaining something, the cost of time of obtaining something, the total fixed and variable cost of obtaining something, the value of the best alternative sacrifice for obtaining something. What do you think? Now, a lot of answers, guys, can look similar. Always go with the most correct one. Now, very easy question, right? Just asking you for the definition for opportunity cost. Which one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. So most of you are giving me 5, right? Yes, that is your answer as well. So opportunity cost, guys, we talk about is what? It's the benefit that you forego from your next best alternative. Now, for example, right? Trust me, guys, if not for this class right now, I would have had a nice sleep. Right? I was doing some office work in the morning. You know, I have classes until around 10, 11 o'clock in the night today. So if not for this class, I would have definitely gone and slept. So my opportunity cost is, right, the benefit or the satisfaction I could have got by sleeping. Maybe you all would have been, you know, on your phone watching a video, if not for this class, right? So different opportunity cost. So what is opportunity cost? It's the value of the next best alternative sacrifice when obtaining something. So the answer is the 5th one, right? So for those who missed, first one answer was 3. Second one answer is 5. Okay, right. Going to the third. Okay, now this is a good question. Okay. Out of the following, choose the correct answer that shows the correct features of an economic good. What do you all think? Okay, we will go one by one, right? Please, for an economic good, is there a production cost, right? Yes or no? Tell me. To produce an economic good, should a firm or someone who is producing it, is there a production cost? In other words, a cost of production. There is, right? Because why? To produce economic goods, you have to get land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship. For land, you might have to pay rent, right? For labor, you have to pay wages, right? All of that is there. So for the first one, existence of, give me a second, right? Right. So for the first one, existence of a production cost, yes, that is there. Can you tell me, yes, production cost and resource cost both mean the same thing, guys. Okay. Is there an opportunity cost when you produce an economic good? That means now, for example, when you're producing economic goods, you're using scarce resources, right? You're using scarce land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship. You could have used those land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship to produce something else, right? You could have used it to produce something else. That means there is an opportunity cost, right? Now, for example, instead of me doing this service right now, I could have used my labor to do something else. I could have done some of my office work. I do have a report to make. I could have done that, right? So there is definitely an opportunity cost, right? Correct. Consumer has to bear a cost. This is a point that is always debatable. What do you all think, guys? For an economic good, can you say that the consumer has to bear a cost? What do you all think? The thing here, guys, is right. This consumer has to bear a cost, right? You put a note here and write, right? Consumer has to bear a cost, but not always, right? So this consumer bearing a cost thing is not always. So therefore, guys, remember, right? Not always. Now, for example, what? For example, remember I told you the government school textbook, right? Your government school, government school textbooks, right? Do you, as a consumer, do you have to bear a cost for that? No, right? You don't bear a cost for your textbooks. You get it for completely free. So this part on, right? Even gifts, exactly, right? Now, let's say, for example, for example, let's take this class. This class is an economic good. But you as a consumer, are you bearing a cost? Are you paying a fee and come into this class? You're not, right? So this consumer has to bear, usually, yes, guys, usually I will say, yes, consumer will bear a cost. But when you take that as a characteristic or a feature, we don't consider that as a feature because sometimes the consumer will bear a cost, sometimes the consumer might not bear a cost actually. The cost might be borne by someone else, right? So this thing, guys, always remember, right? This is not a feature of an economic good. So don't go and write anywhere, right? That consumer has to bear a cost is a feature of an economic good. Maybe if you're writing somewhere, you can highlight and say, usually a consumer will have to bear a cost, but there can be certain instances like, the free textbooks given by the government where the consumer doesn't bear a cost, where the government is the party bearing the cost. No, so when you're writing an essay question, you can, justify it like that. But in an MCQ, anywhere if they say for a economic good that a consumer has to bear a cost, remember, it is not a feature. Okay, right. Then existence of decreasing marginal cost. Now, what is marginal cost? Marginal cost we learn in unit number 4 also, right? So what is this marginal cost? It's the additional cost of producing one extra unit, right? Yes, can you tell me in reality, right? Based on your understanding unit number 2 and all, right? When you produce more and more and more, what happens to your marginal cost? Does it increase or does it decrease? Just for those who remember unit number 4 a little, think of the MC curve, right? Think of the shape of it. Most of the time, what is happening? Is it increasing or decreasing? the short run, right? What do you all think? The marginal cost usually is increasing, right? I'll teach that you all when we come to unit number 4, right? You all remember in marginal cost, right? When we draw, initially it decreases a little, but then usually it is increasing, right? Right? MZ is going up, no? More and more you produce, the more and more additional cost you will have to incur. So therefore, this existence of decreasing marginal cost, no. Maybe in case they said existence of increasing marginal cost, that could have been correct. So not decreasing. That is where this also goes wrong. So not D also, not C also. Therefore, what did we end up with? We ended up with the answer A and B. So that is answer number 1. Right? Is that okay? Fine. Question. Yeah. Is right. I'll tell you, for those who are not there last class, I am guessing at least you would have watched the recording, right? To make the best use of this class, make sure that you do what? One, you do the past papers and come. Second, you study that unit also along with me, right? So remember, this is not really this one, right? This is not a theory class or revision class. It's a paper class. So I will not be teaching all the theory, right? Okay. 1 and 3. No, guys. So now you can't. Okay, A and B is definitely an answer, right? Then the question comes: can we include C also? That's why I told you this consumer has to bear a cost. Usually we don't take it as a feature. So therefore, you can't say A, B, and C is cut off. This first part is not a feature of an economic good. Okay, so don't include that as a feature. So A and B only. Done. Then we go to the next one. Question 4, 2014 A-level. The functions of price in a market economy are. Now, this is very easy. I taught you all the 3 functions. Can you quickly give me an answer? We discussed this in the in last week, guys. What do you think the functions of price? I gave you all 3 functions, right? One is the informative or the signaling function. The other one was a incentive function. Third one was the rationing or the allocative function. So which one talks about these 5? Answer number 4, 5, right? So yes, these kind of questions are very direct, right? These are like 3 marks. When you see a question like this in your paper, what do? You give the smile to all the people around you, right? Give that, and also guys, just small tip, right? When you're doing exams, always smile, right? Don't feel, this, don't give that sad face, right? That will help you boost your confidence, guys. Now, when the paper is very hard, don't smile so, right? When you're doing your usual paper, when you see a good question, like, smile a little, right? Smile a little, look around a little, right? That will help you. And when you see all the other fellows, struggling, and when you are smiling, right, automatically you will see a little bit of confidence, right? The problem will come if all the students in that class is my students and everyone starts smiling, then I don't know if you will feel confident, right? But usually, 1 or 2 people will be from my class, right? So you all smile, right? When you see an easy question, when it's a question that you've already done in a previous paper, right? Just smile a little, right? And they also will feel bad, right? The other fellows will wonder, why is this fellow smiling like? And so you keep on doing that. Trust me, guys, you mentally feel a little better than, what frowning and doing all of that. Right. Next one. Question number 5. In a market economy, personal income is determined by, right? It's an interesting question. Yes, I'll take a minute to explain this, right? So this part we talk about in the question, whom to produce, right? We talk about 3 questions, guys. What to produce, how to produce, whom to produce, right? Whom to produce, right? Now, I'll give you a simple example, okay? I'll talk about, when we talk about whom to produce, we talk about, okay, whom to produce is who gets the goods and services. Whatever that a country produces, at the end of the day, who is going to get it? Can you tell me, guys, right? The amount of goods and services that a person or family gets will depend on what? The amount of goods and services that a person gets depends on their income, right? So someone who has a higher income is able to get a higher share. Now, for example, if you during the Aragale, if you went to Gota's house and if you saw the luxury things that they have, we don't have them, right? They had a higher income, higher status. They were able to get a higher portion of the goods and services produced, right? I remember I also went, there were around 10, 15 ACs in that, right? Then you don't, in your house, you don't have 10, 15 ACs, the maximum, you'll have one or two. Some of you all usually no AC, right? So how was Gota able to get a higher amount? Because maybe his income is high, right? So then the amount of goods and services a person gets depends on their income, right? Can you tell me what does income depend on? Then what does income depend on? That is what they are asking, guys, in this question. What does income depend on? Hmm? Income depends on, right? How did Gota get a higher income? I don't know. Now, given that this is going on YouTube also, I will not talk, right? So income depends on, guys, right? How many factors of production you exchange in the market, right? Multiplied by the price of a factor. Let me explain, right? Now, let's say, for example, in my family, right? Let's say in my family, we have 5 people working. Sorry, in my family, okay, let's say there are 5 people. Okay. In my family, there is 5 labor, right? But do you think all 5 of us in our family will go to work? Now, in my family, I have my father, mother, me, and I have 2 sisters, right? Are all 5 of us going to work? No, right? Now we have 5 labor. 5 labor means this is our factor ownership, right? Our factor ownership. We have 5 labor units, but all 5 of us are not working. So I am working, my father is working. So from these 5 factors that we own, we are only exchanging 2 of it. Did you all understand that? See how many factors of production you exchange in the market. So my family is exchanging 2 labor units. Is that clear? And let's assume for one of us, right? Let's say our monthly salary is 100,000. So then how much is my family's income? Factor price is 100,000. We are exchanging 2 of that, right? So my family will earn a 200,000 a month, right? Then there can be some other families, right? Now we'll take a rich family. A rich family, they might have, right? They might be having, let's say they also might have 2 labor, right? They might have their own business also, right? So there is one entrepreneur inside that, right? Who is earning profits. Then there is, let's say they have taken a building and they have given the building on rent, capital. Let's say they have 2 buildings also. That means 2 capital resources, right? So for the 2 labor, they get 100,000 each, right? The entrepreneur makes, let's say, 500,000, right? The capital for a building, let's say they get 200,000. So if you multiply and add all of that, then you would get their factor income, right? So this is my family's, right? I'll put this in a different color, right? This is my family, the blue one here, right? This may be the one over here. Let me put it in maybe red, right? This is the rich families. So can you see? My family income was a 200,000. How was that determined by? I was exchanging 2 labor units in the market. Factor price of 1 labor was 100,000. If you took the rich family, 2 people were working, fine. They had an entrepreneur, they had their own business that was giving them 500,000 a month. They had 2 buildings they gave on rent. That was giving, one building was giving 200,000. So maybe if you calculate their total income, how much is that case? 200,000, 100, 1,100,000. So can you see what income depends on? So back again to my point, right? Whom to produce is about who gets the goods and services that is being produced. Then who gets depends on how much of income you have, no guys. So the person who has a high income gets a lot of goods and services. The person who has a low income gets a little bit of the goods and services. Then I said, what does income depend on then? Income, I said, depends on how much of factors of production you are exchanging in the market. You might own 5 factors. You might own 5 labor. Now, my family has 5 labor. I can work, my mother can work, my father can work, my sisters also can work if they want, right? So we have 5 labor, but we are not exchanging all 5 labor, right? My sisters are still studying, my mother is a housewife. So we are exchanging only 2 labor units, right? So 2 labor units, per labor unit is bringing us 100,000. So our factor income is a 200,000, right? Is that clear, guys? Based on that, can you all see what is the answer that you all can come up with? Answer number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, factor is another word is property, right? What can we say? We'll see. Government factor price policies. Now, market economy, right? They are not talking about a command economy, they're talking about a market economy, right? So this word government here is off, right? Second one says factor price in the factor market. Okay, my factor price is okay, 100,000. And personal income tax. No, I'm not saying personal income tax. Factor price and how much is exchange, not personal income tax, right? So wrong. Third one says factor price in the factor market. Okay, government wage. Market economy, guys. Government wage, no, right? Yeah, so we'll cut that off. Fourth one, factor price in the factor market. Okay, price is 100,000 and quantity exchanged at that price. So we are exchanging 2 labor units. So that looks like the answer, right? We look at the fifth one also. Property ownership. Okay, so property ownership means I have 5 labor units and the factor price. Now see guys, do you all see the difference? Do you all see the difference between ownership and quantity exchange? Do you all get that difference? I can own, my family owns 5 labor, but how many am I exchanging in the market? Only 2. So does my family's income depend on that 5 or the 2, guys? Family's income depended on the 2 that I exchanged, right? Not on the 5 that I own, no? So that property ownership, right? So because you can own property. Now, for example, I can have 5 buildings, right? But what if I am not giving that building on rent? I am just keeping that building as it is, right? Will I get an income from it? No. I am owning my property ownership. I have 5 buildings in the, let's say in Columbus 7, but I am not giving it on rent. So I can own the property, but I might not get an income from it. So than saying property ownership, it's better to say the quantity that is exchanged. Is that clear? Right? So the better answer is the fourth one. Is that fine, guys? Yes. Fourth one is your answer. Okay. Right. Now, then we go to the last question of 24. Right. The last one. This is easy, guys. Right now, we talked about this last class also, so there is no big explanation. A point inside the PPC shows what? Unemployment, scarcity, obsolete technology, overutilization, existence of unskilled labor. What do you think? A point inside the PPC. So a point inside, guys, very easy, right? A point inside represents what? A point inside represents unemployment, right? So always remember, whenever resources are unemployed, it will be represented by a point inside the PPC. Okay. Okay, this is the previous slide, guys. You all can take screenshots right along the way, right? And also, guys, I'm hoping that you all would have taken this thing, right? So what you all can do is, right? I know you all have a past paper book. I understand, right? I type and send the papers separately so that you all can take a printout of it, guys. Take a printout of it and then do it with me. You do the questions and come. Then when I am explaining, you write, why is this wrong? Why is this correct? Write a side note. Right, paste a small sticky note near that question and make a note and keep, right? You make your note very colorful and nice and, all of that, so that, you also feel, motivated to do it, right? That has to come from you guys. I can't tell you to take a printout. I can't take the printout for you, and I can just tell you to do that, right? So, guys, I'll quickly run through the answers. 1 was 3, 2 was 5, 3 was 1, 4 was 5, 5 was 4, and 6 was 1, right? There was a question on this. How do you show? I'll show you how do you show the other ones also. So how do you show scarcity, right? Option number 2, scarcity is a point outside the PPC. That's how you show scarcity. Third one, obsolete technology means using outdated technology, right? Now always think, guys, think if you have an improvement in technology, what will happen? PPC will shift out. If you're using outdated technology, it's the opposite of it. PPC will shift inwards. That is number 3. Overutilization of resources. If you utilize your resources too much, maybe you can produce at a point outside the PPC, right? So that is this. And then the last one, what is the last one? Existence of unskilled labor. Can you tell me, guys, right? If you have skilled labor, what will happen to PPC? Now, let's say there is an improvement in labor productivity. Government is giving training and something, and they're training the employees. They're making them skilled. What will happen to the PPC? It will then shift outward, right? So it will shift outward. Now, why? The productivity improves, no? Right? So if the government gives training and does all of that, it will shift outward. Now, this is the same, the opposite of that, right? You're having unskilled labor, right? Productivity of labor is down now. So therefore, what happens? PPC will shift it. Fourth one, why is it a point outside? It's like this. No? PPC represents the maximum sustainable output. Now, for example, the PPC is showing us the maximum sustainable output of 2 goods that you can produce. If you use all your resources, how much you can produce. Now, maximum sustainable output means, for example, if we use our labor for 8 hours, right? Normal labor can work for 8 hours. But certain situations, if we use our labor for, let's say, 16 hours, right? Then we might be producing outside the PPC. But that is not sustainable. We can't be using our labor for 16 hours for months and months. 1 or 2 days, I can tell, come and work for 16 hours. I can't tell you to come and work whole month for 16 hours. You will say, sir, you know what nonsense, I'm not coming to work with, right? So remember, PPC shows us the not the maximum output, the maximum sustainable output, right? Is that fine? Yes. So that scarcity and even overutilization, you can show it on a point outside there, right? Now, PPC is showing us if I use my labor for 8 hours, machines for, let's say, 12 hours a day, how much I can produce. That's my maximum sustainable output. But I can produce outside the PPC in the short run if I overutilize my resources. If I tell my labor, no, you have to work all 24 hours today, right? I put my machines 24 hours working, right? I cut down all the trees that I have in my country and I am building hotels there, right? So if I can do that, if I can overutilize my resource, then it will be a point outward, not a shift case. It will be a point outward. It's not a permanent thing. You can do it for a day or two. After that, you will come back to normal, right? So overutilization will be a point out. It's a temporary thing. Is that fine? Any questions on the others? How do you show this and all? Okay. Okay. Right. So that is the end of the 2014 A-level paper, right? Thank you for reminding me to off the recording.